Hey guys, what's up? It's Raven. Fun fact from Brianna Cooper on Instagram. Australia is wider than the moon, meaning that the distance from east to west of Australia is more than the diameter of the moon. On another note, today we're going to be talking about friendships. Friends. How many of us have them? Friends. Ones we can depend on. Let's be friends. What y'all know about that? Y'all don't know nothing about that. I get a lot of questions about friendship in general. More specifically, I think the number one question is, how did I come to have the beautiful friend circle that I have now? How did I go about making these friends? How do I maintain the friendships? Do I have any struggles within the friendships that maybe y'all don't know about? Just kind of everything revolving around that. And I think a lot of it comes from just the fact that it's hard to make friends as an adult. You know what I mean? I'm 31 years old. I feel like a lot of you guys listening to this are around my age, and I can understand how, it's just hard to make friends. Navigating friendships in general at this age is just interesting for a lot of reasons. And I think because I talk so fondly of my current friend circle, maybe it's seen as something that's like admirable and aspirational, inspirational, and maybe y'all think that I have like cracked the code on adult friendships, not only making new friends later in life, but also just like maintaining the friendships through it all, through motherhood and all the different things. I'll say yes, for starters, yes, I am happy with where I'm at when it comes to friendships and like my social, I guess you would call it kind of my social life in that sense. I am very thankful for my friend circle. I feel like I have come a long way in a sense, because I definitely did not always have the friendship circle that I have now. So in one way, I kind of do want to like say like, yeah, like I do think I have an aspirational friendship circle, but in another way, I'm like, I'm definitely no friendship expert. I'm not a perfect friend, and I wouldn't say that my friendship circle is perfect. I don't know if that even exists. So I guess I'm just saying like, definitely take everything that I'm about to say or any advice that I'm about to give, definitely take it with a grain of salt, because I don't know if you should necessarily be looking up to me. I mean, like I said, in some ways I see why you would, but in other ways it's like, I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl just like you. So I don't really know. But I did want to kind of start with like my childhood. Like, let's rewind. Let's just rewind, take it from the top. When it comes to friends, for me, since I was a kid, I have always been known to be shy or introverted or quiet, or just not necessarily like the life of the party, the class clown, never the popular girl, never the loud, bubbly girl, none of that. Never the star athlete, never the cool cheerleader, nothing of the sort. I've never been that. I'm thinking back to elementary school, middle school. I went to a small private school that was relatively diverse for its size and location. You know, she did her best. She tried her best to be diverse given her circumstances. But at the end of the day, like, I do live in I live in Austin, Texas, and I'm from Austin. I live in Austin now. I've spent most of my life in Austin. That's where I was in elementary and middle school. If you know anything about Austin, Texas, you know. If you know, you know. And I wasn't in Pflugerville, and I wasn't in, any of the more brown or black areas. No. So saying all that to say that I think that sort of played a role in me making friends at that age, because I do remember from a young age feeling a bit ostracized, a bit like an other, because there weren't that many other black kids in the whole entire school. meaning there was only ever one or two other Black kids in my class at a time. And there was a little bit of just that feeling of, is that the reason why these other kids aren't friends with me? I do remember feeling that a little bit from a young age. And this is where my friend Lauren comes into play. If you guys know Lauren, if you watch my content, my vlogs, if you see my parties and stuff, you guys probably know about Lauren. She is my longest standing friend. I have been friends with Lauren since I want to say about third grade is when we like really met and kind of started to become friends. I would say our friendship definitely blossomed the most in like middle school, like sixth grade, but I met her in elementary school. Like we were literal small children when I met Lauren, because I think we just gravitated towards each other as being some of the only few Black girls in the school. And there was a couple of other Black girls that like I was friends with for different seasons, and they ended up not staying at the school the whole time. I went to that school from kindergarten to eighth grade. Lauren stayed with me through eighth grade. So I think the fact that like we both stayed at the school the whole time sort of played a part in us maintaining the friendship. And then I had another friend who was Hispanic, and thinking back on it, I feel like maybe that was part of the reason why I gravitated towards her too, because she had my skin tone. Basically, she wasn't Black, but she had my skin tone. You know what I mean? She wasn't white. So I felt like maybe I related to her more than the white kids, at least, compared to somebody who was blonde hair, blue eyes. You know what I mean? But I did also have white friends. I don't want to make it sound like none of the white kids ever liked me and I never had any white friends and they completely no, it wasn't like that. I definitely had white friends. But I guess I'm just saying I remember even at that age gravitating towards or kind of looking for, someone I could relate to in that way. And so saying that to say, I gravitated towards them two, Lauren and the other girl, her name was Rose. Lauren and Rose were my buddies, my besties. I had a couple of other friends that kind of, like I said, came and went here and there, but I mostly stuck by Rose and Lauren. And that's how I always was. I would have one or two main friends and I would just latch on to them, and I would kind of, for the most part, trail behind them. Cause I always hindsight is so funny, because now I'm able to think back on my whole childhood and realize all these different patterns and similarities. But looking back on it now, I realized that I would gravitate towards people who were more extroverted, more outgoing, more confident, more popular, more bubbly, more whatever, just had those bigger personalities. And because my personality was the opposite, maybe I felt like we sort of complimented each other in that way, or I could kind of let them do the talking. You know what I mean? I get the benefits of being their friend. They're more popular, they're more confident, they're more outgoing. So they lead the way. They do all the stuff I don't want to do and say all the things I don't want to say, but I get to follow behind them and reap the benefits. Not in a way where I don't want to make it sound like I'm using people or whatever, because I genuinely loved my friends. But I think that's part of the reason why I gravitate towards extroverted people, is because I'm introverted. So it just sort of balances out. And so I remember I definitely certain experiences that I had in middle school, especially, being invited to certain birthday parties or going and doing certain things. It's the only reason why I was able to do that is because I was friends with Lauren or Rose or whoever else who sort of brought me as their plus one type of thing. And that same sort of pattern continued into high school. Now, I've told this story before, but I went to that small, private, close-knit community, little school from the time, like I said, from kindergarten to eighth grade. So I was in this very sort of unique, sheltered environment. And I thought I was going to go to private high school where a lot of the kids that I was with were going to go, and where my bestie Rose was going to go. I thought I was going with her to the private high school, but then my parents were like, no, we're not paying for that. You going to the public school in the neighborhood. You going to the big regular school. I don't know what you thought. And I was like, what? And that was like really scary for me and really devastating, and just really just like, oh my God, such a hard transition. I was so worried about making friends. It was really scary because I wasn't going to know a single person at that school. It was going to be a completely fresh start at this big, giant, scary high school. And I was already just scared about the concept of starting high school in general. So I remember being like, really anxious about it. But of course, it all ended up working out fine at the end of the day. Like, I adjusted eventually. And it was in high school where I realized, I think, or maybe I didn't have the words for it at the time, but I basically realized I'm not shy. I'm introverted, and there's a difference, because people would always call me shy. Like in elementary and middle school, people would always call me shy. And I always kind of felt some type of way about that because it has a very negative connotation. But in high school, I realized like I'm not shy, because shyness implies fear. It implies like I'm too scared to talk to people. I'm too scared to speak up. I'm scared to be seen. I'm scared to be heard. I just want to cower away. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it has this cowardly connotation to it. And I never felt like that was a fair description of me. And that really started to kind of show through in high school, because while I still was not the popular girl in the sense of being athletic, playing sports, doing cheer, doing any of that stuff, because I am not athletic, and I knew that. My parents tried to make me do volleyball, and that was a complete bust. I didn't even make it past the tryouts. Never did any other sports in high school. Quickly learned that that was not going to be my thing. But I did do other extracurricular things like Key Club, which is basically like a community service type organization. I was in International Club. I was actually the president of International Club at one point. And I did this thing called, I like helped start or sort of put together this thing called No Place for Hate, which was basically like an anti-bullying organization at the school. And within those things, like there was a lot of like, like being president of an organization requires a sense of like getting up in front of people, speaking to a group, leadership skills, things like that, that someone who was very shy wouldn't do or wouldn't be able to do. But I didn't necessarily feel like I struggled with that. And those things kind of helped me realize like, I'm not shy. Like I can speak to people. I can speak to a group of people. I can show up and be seen and be a leader and be president of a club. Like I'm not shy. I'm just introverted, meaning I do not get my energy, get my life from being around groups of people, from socializing. An introvert is somebody who is basically easily drained by socialization. Socializing drains me. So a lot of times I just don't feel like talking to people. I just don't feel like socializing. It is exhausting for me. And it's something that I just, a lot of times just don't seek out, just don't feel like I need. Not because I can't, not because I'm scared, not because I feel like, they're not going to want to be friends with me. They're not going to want to talk to me. So no, I just don't want to talk to them. You know what I mean? Like I like my alone time. I need to recharge by being alone. Like that's just like my preference. That's just my personality. And I feel like that started to come through in high school. But also I think my experience at the small private school taught me how to be open to diverse friendships, because I didn't have a choice. At my private school, I was going to have a diverse friend group. I was going to be exposed to, all different walks of life. It was a non-denominational school. So I talk about this a lot. It was, like I said, relatively diverse for its size as far as like race and ethnicities, but also diverse in cultures and religions and different things like that. It was not in a lot of ways where a lot of schools, especially like in Texas, they're very homogenous. They're very like mostly white, mostly Christian, mostly just like all the one same type of person for the most part. That school was not like that. I felt like I was exposed to a good amount of just diversity overall, which taught me how to make friends with a diverse range of kids, right? And so I feel like I sort of brought that into my high school experience, although I was going to this big, more typical public high school, which was majority white and was more like stereotypically homogenous in that sense. I almost felt like I was seeking out the diversity that I could find there. And I don't remember, like, I didn't have trouble making friends. Again, I'm not shy, I'm introverted. But when I want to make a friend, I can. When I want to talk to someone, I can. And I've always been, like I said, what I'm getting at is I'm open to speaking to all types of people, no matter what race, girl, guy, any race, any ethnicity, any religion, any background, any style, especially in high school. It's all about like the different cliques and the different like you have the alternative gothic emo kids, you have the super sporty athletic kids, and then it's divided up by different types of sports, and then you have like the cheerleader girls, and then you have like the hipster girls, and then you have the whatever, it's like the stereotypical cliques in high school. But me, like, I couldn't tell you like what clique I would have been in high school. I really wasn't in any particular clique. I bounced around from all different cliques, and I ended up making friends with a wide range of kids. I had a close friend who was Hungarian, and I remember I would go to her house with her parents and they would feed me traditional Hungarian food. And then I had this other friend who was pretty like alternative, and like she kind of hung out with like the gothic kids who like wore the emo style clothing or whatever, and the dark heavy makeup and the scene kid hair, and like I was friends with some of them. And then I had a lot of friends who were Hispanic, and Spanish was like their first language. They had come from were from Mexico. My best friend that I ended up getting the closest with, she's from Mexico. Spanish is her first language, came to the States when she was in middle school, and she ended up finding and meeting other kids who had similar stories, who also like spoke Spanish. Some were from Mexico, some were from other countries. And I ended up getting really close with her. And then she introduced me to these other kids. So I ended up having this friend group, like a really solid friend group of all like Spanish speaking people. And I ended up learning, that's how I learned a lot of Spanish, was from them. And I got to a point where I was like really getting pretty fluent in high school, actually, because of them. And I was taking Spanish as part of my curriculum, and I ended up taking AP Spanish as well. So by senior year of high school, I was speaking some good Spanish because I just so happened to sort of like fall into that friend group, because I was always just like used to that, like open to, like, it doesn't matter. It sounds so corny, but like I genuinely lived the mindset of, it doesn't matter what you look like, how you dress, where you're from, like you can be friends with anyone. You can find commonalities with anyone. It's not about the optics of, how our clique looks from the outside. It was never about that for me. And then I did have some Black friends too. I had super nerdy friends. I had the most random amalgamation of friends in high school. And this is also when I met Ogden. For those of you guys who know about Ogden, I met Ogden in high school. He was one of, obviously he's Black. So he was somebody who, like, I would see him hanging out with some other Black people, he had a group of like Black guy friends that he would be with. And I met and started hanging out with them, some of which I'm still close to. Y'all always see and talk about Ogden, but I feel like I have like these other friends from high school that y'all don't necessarily see or know the lore, but like it's not just Ogden, like there's others like with him too that I'm still friends with to this day. And yeah, so high school was really interesting for me in that sense, like just sort of like, I think it was just a time of me like coming into my own and realizing, like, again, I'm not shy. I'm just introverted, but I am definitely capable of making all types of friends and kind of bouncing around from different friend groups. And it wasn't an issue of feeling like I never had friends or nothing like that. Like I had friends. I was not an outcast. I was not antisocial by any means. I just wasn't popular, like in the sense of like, what it meant to be popular at my school, particularly, because what it meant to be popular at my school meant that you were white and you dressed a certain way and you played a certain sport and you dated a football player and you know what I mean? And your parents were rich and you went on the boat on the weekend. Like that's what I felt like were the popular girls. And I just wasn't that. But I was low key kind of popular when you think about it because I had friends from all these different little friend groups. I don't know. It's all about your perspective. But also I definitely had people who did not like me in high school. Let's not skip over that part. Definitely had my, I had my friends and I had my foes. And I've told this story before about the particular foes that I had. It was these two main girls who, and I feel like I'm getting so off track because I'm trying to quickly tell the story of my background history so I can get more up to present day and talk about making friends as an adult, because I know that's what y'all actually care about. But I just feel like I just want to tell the lore. Y'all know me. So I'm going to tell you the lore of these two girls who didn't like me in high school really quick. I've told this story before, but the short and sweet version is I started content creation in high school. I started off on Tumblr. If you know, you know. I was posting like outfit of the day and stuff like that. There were these two girls who discovered my Tumblr account and they thought it was the stupidest thing, corniest thing in the world, and they wanted to make fun of me for it. And they were bullying me online, but they brought the bullying into real life at school and were trying to like play pranks on me at school because they thought I was lame because of my stuff that I was posting on Tumblr. And they thought, I guess their whole thing was like, ooh, she thinks she's some type of fashion blogger, but her outfit sucks. Who does she think she is? Like, she's lame and cringy. So we're going to like terrorize her or whatever. And they would like write stuff, like I sat in the same spot in class and they would like write stuff on the wall or on the desk, like Raven is stupid. She thinks, like whatever stupid stuff. And then at one point they were like, being weird, like they planted a package of creepy random items. Like they put random creepy items, like a fake wedding ring and a weird, like I don't even remember exactly what it was, but stupid stuff, put it in a package, wrote to Raven Scott on it, left it in the bathroom for me to find it, and then like hid off to the side and waited for me to find it and be like, they were trying to make me feel like I had a stalker or something. It was stupid. It was literally like something out of like a movie, like Mean Girls or something. Like I guess that's what they thought. They thought they were living like real life Mean Girls, playing pranks on me and bullying me and hee ha ha, laughing at me from around the corner at school, on top of the like cyberbullying that they were doing. And ultimately one of the girls, I don't just like never saw her again after school. Don't know what happened to her. The other girl, she actually ended up apologizing. I ran into her at a house party after all of that, and she ended up apologizing to me and saying that actually she thought I was cool and she thought my content creation was cool, and she don't know why she did that and it was stupid and she was sorry, whatever. Anyways, so yes, I did experience stuff like that, but for the most part, said all that to say, I had friends in high school, so it wasn't a thing. Like I guess what I'm getting at is, because I always say like, oh, I didn't always have the friends that I have now. And it makes it seem like, I went through life never having any friends and being such an outcast and I didn't go through my whole life never having friends. I'm just trying to set that story straight. I had friends. I had my main little friends in elementary and middle school. I definitely had friends in high school, kind of a lot of friends in high school, actually. But college and adulthood, definitely adulthood is where things started to change. So let's speed up the story and let's start getting to that, because I know that's the part that y'all actually care about. So after high school, I go straight to college. I went to the University of North Texas in Denton, Texas. And so freshman year of college, I was going to stay on campus in the dorms. And I did the roommate matching questionnaire thing where they ask you like some basic questions and they pair you up with basically a random roommate, but they try to match you up based on like common answers, I guess. And I coincidentally got paired with a girl who was also from Austin. I didn't know her. She went to a different high school, but once we got paired up and started talking, we realized that we had a lot of commonalities. Like she was from the same place that my mom was from, and we kind of like, our families kind of know some of the same people. And we also had like mutual friends from me knowing people that went to her high school and stuff like that. So that ended up working out really well because we kind of had that instant, common ground to start an actual friendship versus like just being roommates. Like sometimes you get paired with a roommate and y'all are just roommates and y'all don't really click like that. But I felt like because we had those like commonalities, her and I were able to click a little bit more and like actually become friends, which was really helpful for me because again, I'm an introvert. I am able to make friends when I want to, but I do still get nervous coming into a new situation where I don't know anybody. And I did not know anybody that was going to be going to college with me from high school. Like I was coming into college solo dolo. So I was really glad that I got paired with this roommate that felt like she could, be a really good friend for me. And she had a friend who was also from Austin. They like went to high school together. Her friend lived above us in the dorm room. And so she introduced me to her. And then we kind of just became like the three amigas. Like we were the little group of three. And that just kind of ended up working out. And I basically like stuck by them throughout my whole college career. So I got kind of lucky in that sense that like those people were kind of just like handed to me based on the like roommate situation. And then sophomore year of college, this is when I met Daisha because Daisha transferred from another school to our school, and Daisha already knew my two roommates that I was already with. And so they introduced me to her because Daisha is also from Austin and also went to that other high school. So they were like, oh, and then now, here's Daisha. We went to high school with her. We know her. Introduced to me. Me and Daisha clicked instantly. Like it was just an instant, just a twin flame energy. People have always said that like we look alike, we sound alike, remind people of each other. It was just like a crazy coincidence. Like we were just meant to be, and it was just meant to happen that like, all these different layers of mutual friends like brought me to her or introduced me to her in college. And so I ended up, it was like the four of us as roommates after that. And they were really like some of my main friends. And then I ended up meeting Age, my other friend who you guys probably know. I met her in college through pursuing modeling. So at one point, I was really trying to call myself a model in college. I had got connected with this little small, I guess you would call it an agency, but it wasn't like one of the real big legit agencies. It was like a local agency, I guess, if you want to call it that. And I also was doing modeling work on campus. I was a fashion design student, and there's something called a fit model that works for the school for the fashion design classes. So we have a real live model that we get to try our garments on. So I was taking the class and trying my garments on other fit models. And then that's how I got introduced to the opportunity of becoming a fit model for the other class. So I did that, which then led me into like doing runway shows for the students and then other local runway shows. And then I was also with this other local agency, and through all that stuff that I was doing, I met Age because she was sort of doing and pursuing a similar thing. And again, we just sort of clicked. Like, I don't know. It's just like I've always been this way where it's like, I just instantly know, like from first impressions, I just instantly know if I'm going to be able to be friends with someone. I don't, it's hard to explain, but it's like a connection. It's like a chemistry. It's just something I feel, and I just gravitate towards that person. And I don't know. So that's just kind of how it worked with Daisha, with Age. And I had some other friends, like people who were in my classes, but I never really got super close with anybody who was in my classes. again, not for any particular reason. I mean, I was friends with them, and I remember like we would hang out outside of class like a little bit here and there. I had one main friend who I actually was in her wedding. Like we had a close relationship like at one point, but then it sort of fizzled out. Like, but it just wasn't the same like deep connection or that chemistry that I was explaining, where I just like gravitate and latched on to somebody like Daisha or Age. I never really latched on as deeply to anybody that I had classes with. So that didn't end up being, a way. Like people always say like, oh, you'll make friends with your classmates or, whatever. That wasn't how it worked for me. So you just never know. Like so far, like from hearing the story, y'all can understand how my best friends literally just were placed upon me. It wasn't anything in particular that I did to like seek them out, or it wasn't really a particular way that I positioned myself. Like it just sort of happened. Like, I don't know. And that's something that you can't really control or predict, or that's not really helpful advice for me to give anyone who's listening to this right now. Like maybe you're starting college or you're in college and you're wondering like how to make friends. Like what I'm saying is not helpful, because it's just like, oh, you might get lucky and you might get placed with this roommate who knows somebody who knows somebody. Like you might end up meeting, well, I guess meeting Age through modeling. I guess that is an example of like positioning yourself. Like you do have to put yourself out there and try things to where you're going to meet new people. And I guess that is an example of that, because I was purposely like, I'm going to take this opportunity of being a fit model. I'm going to pursue this idea of doing these local runway shows and pursuing modeling. And no, I don't know anyone who's going to be there. I don't know who I'm going to meet. I'm doing this alone by myself. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to this fitting by myself, and I'll just kind of have to see who's there and try to make friends there. That is something that I wasn't doing it to make friends. I was doing it because I wanted to be a model. But because I was putting myself out there, obviously I made a friend like Age. And so I think there is some truth to that when people say like you have to like kind of sign yourself up for stuff, whether it's classes or something kind of extracurricular or some type of hobby or some sort of passion like that. Like, friends are not, new friends are not going to come randomly knocking on your door. Now, for me, they did. Half of my friends did randomly come knocking on my door in a sense. But you do have to, if you're struggling with that, I think the advice of finding something to go and do where you'll meet like-minded people who are interested in like-minded things. I think it sounds so basic and like obvious, but it's true. You have to put yourself out there more. So I guess my experience with modeling and meeting Age is definitely like a testament to that. But then the other thing that started happening around this time in college is I started to get real heavy into social media and content creation and this whole thing of being a YouTuber and sort of becoming a known YouTuber at the time. And therefore I started to make these online friends of other content creators, other YouTubers. And then I started to meet some of those online friends in real life. And this is where the infamous YouTube Sisterhood comes into play. If you know, you know. If you don't know, I'm about to tell you. So when I was in college and I was getting into the YouTube thing for real, I want to say the first like YouTuber friend, internet friend that I met in real life was Vicky Logan and Ashley D Beauty. I met them on the same day at the same time because they lived in the local area that I was at for college. And I literally can't remember. I have a vlog on my channel about it that I could go and rewatch to get the details right. But I can't remember the exact details, but it was something along the lines of, we've been following each other. We're mutuals online. We realize we're in the same sort of area. We decide to like meet up to collab and like make some content together or whatever. So we do that. I become friends with them. And then that sort of just evolved into, other mutual friends that we all had on the internet. And then we would meet up with this person and this person. And then it became the YouTube Sisterhood, where it was like a group of us, Black girl YouTubers who were kind of all mutuals who ended up all meeting in person and like collaborating and doing some, we actually like hosted events together, like a couple of little like meet and greet events and like little creator events, like nothing super big and major, but like we went to BeautyCon Dallas together, and like we went to Generation Beauty in LA. So we were like moving and shaking and kind of doing things like as this sort of collaborative YouTube creator, Black girl creator unit. And even like from the very beginning, again, it's one of those things where it's like, you're not necessarily going to have a deep connection with everyone you meet. You know what I mean? Not to say that there's any drama or any tea or anything wrong with them, but like you just don't click with everyone. So there were certain girls of that group that I definitely clicked with more than others. I think out of everyone, like I really clicked with Vicky, and Vicky is someone that I'm still friends with to this day. And then there was others that I just never really ended up getting as close with. And then all of a sudden it just sort of fizzles out, and I never talk to them again and never hang out with them again. And, you know, over time, it all sort of just fizzled out into, you know, what it is today, where out of everyone, I want to say out of everyone, the only one that I still really would consider to be like an active friend of mine would be Vicky. There was a total of, I think, probably 6 or 7 of us at the peak of it, and it all just sort of fizzled out. I mean, it was fun while it lasted. I have some good memories with those girls, some of my first like creator, you know, moments were with those girls, like going to events, doing my first meet and greets and stuff like that, like were with those girls in that era. So like I'm thankful for that era for sure. But a lot of it just didn't end up being like super long lasting friendships, which is fine. You know what I mean? Like I'm a strong believer that people come in your life for a reason and for a season. You know what I mean? Like everybody is not meant to be your very best friend, and everybody is not meant to be your friend forever. And it's okay. It doesn't have to be this, ooh, drama tea. What happened? Messy. Oh, well, that must like, and especially with the YouTube Sisterhood being this like online thing where we have all these viewers wondering, you know, is there drama? Is there like, it was always a thing where everybody wanted to know what the tea was and who was it's just normal, especially for like young, you know, 20-year-old girls. Yeah, we're going to end up not being friends. Some of us like that. What do you expect? You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a big deal. It doesn't have to be I hate you, you know, like I've always been really annoyed by that, like the way that people make such a big deal about like, oh, you don't talk to this person anymore, you're not friends with this person anymore. Well, what happened? Why does it got to be all that? Why can't it just be like, oh, we're just not close? You know what I mean? We just don't talk anymore. No, I haven't heard from her in a while. No, we're not friends. Like it don't have to be all that. Like let it be what it was. Appreciate the time, appreciate the memories, and if it doesn't stick, it doesn't stick. And you're going to quickly find out like who sticks and who doesn't. You know what I mean? You're going to see like who continues to reach out, who continues to invite you to things, who you continue to have a good time with when you do see them. You know what I mean? Like friendships are going to naturally play out. You really don't have to question it too hard. It's usually pretty obvious, like what direction it's going. You know what I mean? And I'm the type of person, I just let it go. I just let it play out. I don't ever really make a big deal about anything, any way or the other. You know what I mean? Like I've never been the type to be like offended if somebody doesn't want to be super close with me, or like doesn't invite me, or stops kind of reaching out. I've never, like, I can't think of a time where I've gotten like really hurt or really mad because somebody stopped talking to me, or I'm not close to this person anymore, or, you know, I'm not really friends with this person anymore. It's just like, okay, yeah, okay. And like, that's fine. Like friends come and go. It's just not a big deal to me. I don't know, but I know it's a big deal to other people. Like I've met and dealt with other people who are just way more sensitive about that type of stuff. They're way more like it's just a bigger deal. Like if somebody stops talking to them, if somebody doesn't invite them to something, if they feel like, oh, why doesn't this person like me? And why doesn't this person want to be friends with me? Like, because they don't, like, just let it be. I don't know. That's just me. But said all that to say, like, I had my YouTube Sisterhood phase, and then, you know, that sort of fizzled out. And then that led me to when I had graduated college, got pregnant with Zaya. Now I'm pregnant, and I spent some of my pregnancy I spent in Austin. Some of it I spent in Dallas. And then when I gave birth, I was living back in Austin, and I've been back in Austin ever since. But during the pregnancy and during when I first became a mom, I didn't have any mom friends. My friends at that time, having said everything I said about my elementary school friends, my high school friends that I had, my college roommate friends that I had, my other friends that I met in college, the YouTube Sisterhood friends. I've done just giving y'all my whole friendship lore history. Out of all of that and all of those people, by the time that I was pregnant and giving birth to Zaya, the friends that I guess, quote unquote, had left or was still close with at that time were my college roommate friends, Olivia and Whitney, also Daisha, also Age, Ogden. I don't want to forget anybody. I'm thinking about who I was really actively still close friends with at that time. Was still friends with my closest high school friends, like the girl who I said was from Mexico. I was still friends with her. I feel like I wasn't very close with her. We weren't hanging out, but we still had that connection. But yeah, I want to say YouTube Sisterhood days were pretty much, no, I take that back. I had a couple of friends still hanging on, two from the YouTube Sisterhood. Yeah. So I guess I would say from every phase of my life, it basically started off as I had a whole group from each phase. And now that I'm, in this phase of becoming a mother, I basically had one or two people left from each group, if that makes sense. So I was left with this sort of hodgepodge, straggler mix of friends from different groups who didn't really know each other. I got these two friends from high school and these two friends from elementary school, and then these two friends from this thing from college, and then these two friends from the YouTube Sisterhood. And it just sort of was this weird amalgamation of not a very solid unified friend group. That was one thing for sure. The feeling of these people don't really know each other. It's not a unified group where we can all hang out. They live in all different places. Some people are in Austin, some people are in Dallas, some people are in New York, some people are in Chicago. Everybody's spread out. They don't know each other. They're from all these different phases of my life. And it just felt very, it didn't feel like a village or a community because of that. And, when I was in Dallas, I felt like I only had these couple of people who were in Dallas. And then when I was in Austin, I only had these couple of people who were in Austin, and I'm missing my Dallas friends. And by the time I ultimately settled in Austin, I remember feeling kind of lonely and isolated because now I'm a mom, and none of those friends that I had left were moms or anything close to a mom. My friends were not on that track. And hey, I don't blame them, because I was a young mom and I had a unplanned, unexpected pregnancy. So it was very surprising to everyone that I was even pregnant. And I don't think that they expected me to be the one to be having the first baby out of the friend group, but it just, obviously happened that way. But now I'm the only one. I'm the only one who's anywhere close to having a baby. And so I definitely felt a bit just isolated, and not that they made me feel any type of way. They tried to be as supportive as they could. I had a nice baby shower where all those people that I'm talking about, they showed up for me. And, they did what they could and they were supportive, but it's only they can only do so much because they can't relate. They don't know. They ain't never been pregnant. They ain't never had a baby. They're young too. We're 21, 22 years old. They looking at me girl, good luck. And I just was kind of feeling a little bit lonely. And also because when you're pregnant, I mean, you can, if you haven't been through this, I'm sure you can just imagine being pregnant at the age of 21, 22. That's prime time, lituation age. That's prime time hot girl summer age. They trying to be out partying, drinking, doing the things, you know what I mean? Especially because I'm sort of also in this creator influencer world where it's like these different events and different things like that. Everybody is like in these relationships, they have their boyfriends and whatever, like they got other things going on. They live in their young hot girl lives, and I'm pregnant. So it's only so much that we can really relate and do together anyway. And then especially when I had Zaya and now I'm a new mom and I got this baby and nobody else has kids, it's like, well, what we gonna do with you and this baby? And again, I give my friends props. Like a lot of my friends who lived in different cities, they made the trip and came to Austin to like visit me and Zaya and, still tried to do certain things, but it just, again, it was only so much they could do. And so that's when I really started to feel lonely and started to feel like I didn't have a good friend circle, didn't have a strong foundation, didn't have the deeper connections with people that I was longing for, because I was longing for mom friends. I was longing for someone who I could relate to and do play dates with and talk about certain things and have an understanding. And I just didn't have that. And, again, most of my main friends didn't even live in the same city. So I didn't even get to see the friends that I did have. And so that's when, when I refer to me not always having the friend circle that I have today, that's what I'm talking about. It's more so like when I first had Zaya that I was really struggling. And it wasn't until a couple of years later, I believe it was 2019? No, yeah, it had to have been 2019 that everything started to change for two reasons. I can attribute my friendship, what would you call it? The rebirth of my friendship, my community that I have now, I can attribute it to two major things. First thing was this brand deal that I did with Hyundai. Was it Hyundai or yeah, Hyundai Palisade. So many of y'all have probably heard this story before, but this is the story of how I met Sadie. I'll try to make it concise because I know I've told this before. I think we told it in the episode that I have with Sadie, so y'all can go look that up for more details. But basically, I had this brand deal offer for this car, and they specifically wanted me to do a video concept where I take my followers on a road trip. And at first I didn't want to do it because I was like, that is so cringy. Again, I'm introverted. I don't want to do this whole thing where I have to like meet my followers, these strangers that I have never met before. Like, that's going to be so awkward. Like, and who wants to go on a road trip with me? Like, I'm not nobody. Like, why would somebody want to sign up to take a road trip with me as if it's like this big grand prize? Like, I just thought the whole concept was so cringy. Didn't want to do it. But my mom, told me that I should do it and kind of made me do it. And long story short, we put out this thing, like sign up to come on this road trip with Raven Elyse, like put it out to my followers. Sadie ended up doing it, and it was three other girls. So it was the 4 girls in total that we went through this process to select these girls who applied to do it. They came, I met them all for the first time, never met these girls before. We did this little mini road trip, shot the video about it for the brand deal, and Sadie was one of the girls. So that's how I met Sadie. And it was, again, one of those things where it was like that instant connection. Like, it's just like when you know, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I like this girl. Like, it's just something there. And the thing was, Sadie also had kids. So for the first time, like, I was meeting a young, someone my age who I felt like I could relate to, who I felt like I just clicked with as a person. And she also was a mom. So that was really the first time that I was like meeting someone like that to sort of fill that void that I had. And so that became a really big part of Sadie and I's friendship, was being able to connect, just the fact that we were both moms, young moms. And as we got closer, we started realizing like all these other commonalities that we had. And, the rest is history. Y'all should definitely go listen to the other episode that I have with Sadie to hear more about our friendship and how it blossomed and what all went into that. But that's how I met Sadie. That's also how I met, like I said, it was 3 other girls. And I met Ashley. I don't know if you guys have peeped Ashley in some of my recent content. She's another friend that like I still currently, she was just at my Galentine's party the other day. Ashley, I met her on that same like brand deal road trip thing as well. And then Vicky Logan, my friend from the YouTube Sisterhood, she had a friend named Taylor Lloyd. And Vicky introduced me to Taylor, and Taylor had a son who was around Zaya's age, and Taylor didn't always live in Austin, but was moving to Austin. And Vicky was like, hey, Taylor is moving to Austin. You should probably connect with her. And then I was like, oh, that's perfect, because Taylor has a son who's Zaya's age. Sadie also has a son. Sadie has a son and a daughter. And I was like, it would be good because they both have sons. So I introduced Sadie to Taylor. And this was the first annual kids pumpkin carving party, which now I have it every year. And that's how that started. So that's like a cute little sentimental tradition, because I hosted that first little kids pumpkin party was with me, Sadie, and Taylor. And it was me like, bringing them together and bringing the kids together. And so that's how that started. And so the first thing that I attribute my current friend circle to is that brand deal with the car brand deal road trip thing, because that's how I met Sadie and Ashley, and that sort of sparked this whole chain reaction. But the other thing is me moving into this house and realizing my love for hosting and throwing parties. I never knew that I liked to host or throw parties. That was never on my radar, because I never had a space to do it in. So it just wasn't something that I just didn't really think about. But when I moved in this house, I had a housewarming party. And then I realized this is a really nice house to entertain in. You know what I mean? I have the space and the means to entertain. I had a really good time hosting this housewarming party. Then I ended up having that pumpkin party where I introduced Sadie and Taylor. And then the rest is history. As y'all know, I've started hosting a lot of parties, and I started realizing, how much I enjoyed it. And through hosting these parties and gaining the confidence to continue to host more and more and bigger parties, that's how I've really created the community that I have today, even more so. That's how I really honed it in and added more people in and really sort of, sharpened it into my main circle that I have is through hosting. So when it comes to me giving advice on how to make friends as an adult, the first thing is what I said earlier. Yes, sign yourself up for something, do a class, pursue a new hobby, a new job opportunity, something where you're going to go and you're going to meet people who are probably somewhat on the same wavelength. Yes, that's definitely good advice. But the other thing is, you have to host. You have to be the friend. You have to be willing to sometimes, at least sometimes, be the leader, be the friend, be the host, be the one doing the inviting instead of waiting to be invited. You know what I mean? I took the friends that I did have, which were my college friends, my high school friends, my Lauren and Ogden, and now I've got Sadie and Taylor. Also, I forgot to mention Rel. I technically met Rel in college, but we didn't reconnect until afterwards. I'm spending too much time trying to tell the lore of every single friend. That's not important. What I'm getting at is I took the friends that I had at the time, and when I was realizing that I like to host, I started with that friend circle and I said, I'm having this party or these parties. Y'all feel free to bring a +1. You know what I mean? Bring a friend, a family member, whoever, your significant other. And that's really how the friendship circle grew. And that's also how I was able to combine my friend group into a more homogenous melded, meshed together community, because I had that experience before where I felt like I had all these friends from different places, from different phases of my life, and they didn't really know each other, and it didn't really work for us to like all hang out as a group or really be like a community. And I didn't like that. I remember not liking that. And so I wanted it to be different. I wanted my friends to know each other. I wanted to introduce them to each other. And I made it a point to do that through hosting these parties, because I'm inviting my high school friends, my elementary friends, my new friends, Sadie and Taylor, and all these different people from all these different places. I'm bringing them all together under one roof at, this housewarming party or this birthday party or this Christmas party, all these different parties I started hosting. That's how I brought all these people together. And then those people are bringing in extra people and introducing me to people. Oh, this is my sister. This is my cousin. This is my husband. This is my husband's best friend. This is my sister-in-law. This is my other best friend from my hometown. This is my, you know what I mean? Like they started bringing their loved ones, and not always, but there's a good chance that if you love someone and you get along really well with someone, then there's a good chance that you will get along with their other best friend. You know what I mean? Like birds of a feather flock together. You know what I mean? Like if you're good people, then your people are probably good people. So I can trust, again, not always, but for the most part, you can pretty much trust who they're going to bring in. But you have to make it a safe space. You have to be willing and open. You have to be a good host in that sense, and make it known like, yeah, you can bring a friend. Yes. Like the more the merrier. Y'all are welcome. Yes, definitely bring this person. Like there was some hesitation. I remember at first, like people would be like, are you sure? Like, I was thinking about bringing my sister, but I didn't want to intrude. I'm always like, yes, bring, like making it a very welcoming space and going out of my way to invite people and really make them feel invited. Not you can come if you want to. Oh yeah, you could come if you want to. No, I would love to have you. Please come. Yes. And yes, bring someone. Like I really went out of my way to be that type of host. And often it wasn't just a one-time thing, a once a year at Christmas thing. Y'all know I'm always hosting. I'm doing Galentine's. I'm doing Zaya's birthday party, my birthday party. I'm having random pool parties. I'm doing Christmas. I'm doing kickbacks. I'm doing, any excuse, any reason. I was doing it in a very like sort of intentional way. And then also too, I meet a lot of people through being a content creator, through social media. Still to this day, like I'm meeting new people online. Somebody will follow me, I'll follow them back. Now we have this sort of like online friendship because we make similar content, or they're also a mom who lives in Austin or whatever. It's really easy to kind of connect with people online, but I'm making it a point to take those friendships offline. You know what I mean? Like we've been following each other, we've been interacting. I'm going to make it a point to invite you to my next party. You know what I mean? No, I've never met you in person. Yes, that might be kind of risky, but of course I'm not like being stupid about it. You know what I mean? It'll be another local mom that I can clearly see, like she's a normal person, probably like it's probably going to be fine for me to invite her. And I have had still the experience where, it just doesn't click. I haven't become besties with every single person that I've done that with. Every single person that I've like met offline and invited to a party, we didn't become besties. You know what I mean? Nothing crazy bad has ever happened. Luckily, like I don't have any real horror stories from hosting or being open or allowing these extra plus ones or extra online friends, to come to my parties and come to my home. I've never had a horror story, luckily, because I feel like I have pretty good discernment. Like, yes, technically these people sometimes start off as complete strangers, but like I'm using discernment. You know what I mean? Like I'm feeling you out first online and through your content and through talking to you and through seeing like who do you know? You know what I mean? So I feel like that's why I haven't had any like crazy horror stories, but I have had just that experience of like, okay, well, that wasn't really a match. You know what I mean? Okay, well, this person is probably not going to be coming to my next parties or whatever, or they don't really seem like sometimes it's me feeling like I don't click with them, but sometimes it's me noticing that like they don't click with me or they don't seem as interested in being friends with me, which again is fine. Going back to what I said earlier, that's okay. Everybody don't have to like me. Everybody doesn't have to want to be around me or be my friend or be in my community. You know what I mean? Like, that's okay. It doesn't have to be a big deal. It doesn't have to be drama or tea or anything. It's just, you know what I mean? We're all, we look, we are all just different human beings. So sometimes you're not gonna mesh with everyone, right? And I think that like you have to have kind of like a, like, not so, what's the word? Like, you have to be willing to try and fail when it comes to friendships. And I find that maybe sometimes people are too just up in arms about it, like just too worried. Like, put yourself out there, invite somebody over, do the thing, try the thing, go to the party, host the party, and know that, okay, maybe this person doesn't show up, or maybe this person shows up and y'all don't end up being friends, or maybe this person, you know what I mean? Like, know that yes, something could technically go wrong, quote unquote, go wrong, or not end up how you thought, or you won't end up, clicking with everyone. And that's fine. Okay. Does that mean you shouldn't try? Does that mean you shouldn't have the party? People tell me all the time, like, oh, I wish I could host parties like you do, but I'm afraid that nobody will show up. Well, how are you going to find out unless you try? You're hindering yourself because you're afraid of what might happen, and you're not even giving it a chance to actually happen or not. Like, you have to try. You have to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to try. You don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? And yes, it's going to be a buildup. My, community was a buildup over time. You start with the couple of friends and they introduce you, and then, okay, and then yes, and then no, and then this one works out and this one doesn't. And then, you know what I mean? But you have to try. You have to get the ball rolling. If you sit in your house by yourself, just feeling lonely, complaining, again, you're never hosting, you're never doing the inviting, you're never putting yourself out there, you're never reaching out to anyone. What do you think's going to happen? You know what I mean? That's not, that's not a productive way to fix your problem. You're just sitting in it and wallowing in it at that point. And that's the biggest thing for me, is like, you have to kind of have this like YOLO attitude. If you want more friends, if you want a community, if you want to build your village, you have to have more of a carefree attitude towards it. You have to be willing to try and fail. You have to be willing to let people in and let people out. You have to be willing to let them come and go. Let them come and go. Let them come and go. I feel like that's like the biggest thing. I'll say this as my last thing, because I feel like this episode is, definitely getting long. But people ask me to this day, they're like, oh, we don't really see this person around. Or like, don't let like 2 months go by without seeing a certain friend in my content. The people, oh, where's this person? Are you still friends with this person? What happened to this person? How come this person's not around? Bro, we're all grown. We're at the age now where everybody is doing their own thing. We have so much going on. A lot of my friends have kids. Some of them don't, but a lot of them do. Some are married. Some are in committed relationships. Some are single. Some are still pursuing different careers and kind of switching jobs, moving around from state to state. We've all got so many different things going on that we're not going to be all up under each other. We're not always going to be able to be by each other's side 100%. You know what I mean? People live in different cities, people living all over the country. I got friends in all different states with a lot going on, like I said. And so I'm very understanding. I try to be an extremely understanding friend because I want my friends to be extremely understanding of me as well. I have my own shit going on that sometimes causes me to be more distant, not very present, not checking in, not able to show up at every event and stuff like that. And so that's just part of it. That's just part of like this age that we're at. You have to understand that like you're going to maybe have like your main local friends who live nearby and who are your very best friends, who are going to be around more often and more of that like day-to-day interaction. And then you're going to have friends who just have to be a little bit more distant, either due to literal physical distance or due to busy schedules or due to just being in a certain phase of life where they have a lot going on and they just don't have a lot to give. And that's okay. Like, I'm very understanding of that. And so there's ebbs and flows to a lot of my friendships. You'll have moments where you'll see somebody around a lot and then you won't see them as much. And then, like I said, I get the comments of, oh, what happened to this person? Are you not friends anymore? What happened? What happened? What happened? Nothing happened. It's just life. It's just, that's what adult friendships look like. You know what I mean? Just because I haven't seen this person or mentioned them in a long time doesn't mean that they don't still love me and I don't still love them. I have a lot of friends like that where it's just like, it's understood. You know what I mean? Like, it's understood. We have an understanding. We're good. We're fine. And it just works. And anybody who can't be understanding in that way is just probably not going to be my friend. You know what I mean? Like I cannot do super high maintenance friendships. I cannot do super sensitive friendships. Oh, why didn't you text me back? Why didn't you call me? Why didn't you come to every single thing that I invited you to? Why didn't you invite me to every single thing? I can't do that. It's not going to work. It's literally not feasible. It's not possible for me and what I got going on. So I just don't have friends like that. Like, if you're like that, again, we're just not going to be able to be friends. So that's how we make that work. And again, 9 times out of 10, if y'all are looking for somebody or asking for somebody, that's all it is. Like, I don't tend to have big fallings out with people and that person, something happened and they're dead to me. Like, I don't have a lot of stories like that at all. So that's usually not the case. Like, if you're wondering if there's anybody that you right now at home are wondering about, there's probably no tea to it. There's probably nothing much to it other than it just naturally fizzled out. Or like I said, it's just distance. It's just adulthood. It just is what it is. And that's how I make a lot of my friendships work now. And yeah, overall, I really love how I was able to like introduce everybody to everybody. And a lot of people have actually built really close bonds with somebody that they would have never met if it wasn't for me. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but that feels really good. And it just creates more of this sense of community where when I do have these parties or these major life moments, it feels really good to have like everybody be able to come together and have a good time and not have that awkward feeling of like the separation between church and state. You know what I mean? And yeah, so I have been rambling on for quite some time for this episode. I feel like this episode was particularly rambly. Like I wanted to give more advice and I wanted this episode to be more like helpful, but I think I got off track with just trying to tell y'all all of my lore and all of the background context and everything. So I think I'm going to have to do like a follow-up episode getting more into the like advice side of it. Like, I feel like there's more that I want to say, but I'm just like, I'm off track now. I ramble too much. I got derailed a little bit and this episode's already getting too long. So hopefully it wasn't completely pointless and worthless, but definitely let me know if y'all have other specific questions relating to this topic. Let me know what those questions are. Comment them on the YouTube video. Hit me up on the podcast Instagram. I feel like there definitely is more to talk about. I just thought of something. I see. Yeah, there's more that I want to say, but I feel like I got to do a part 2. We just got to do a part 2 so this doesn't get too long. So leave your comments. Hit me up on the Raven Elyse podcast Instagram. I'll be back for a part 2. If anything, hopefully this laid a good foundation, a good background context for the part 2. And at the end of the day, I'm doing these episodes every Wednesday. Y'all see I'm serious about staying consistent. I've been consistent. I plan to keep on being consistent and hitting y'all with these new podcast episodes every Wednesday. So we have plenty more Wednesdays ahead of us. So if anything, it's kind of nice to be able to, continue the conversation. There will be plenty of opportunity to continue these conversations. Sometimes I feel like I want to like hit the whole topic in one episode. Like I'm trying to fit too many different things in one episode. And the truth is there's no need to rush because I could just come back to it next Wednesday, right? So I'll just do that. But yeah, hopefully y'all got something out of this episode and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.